Welcome back to the channel where we uncover the stories behind America's coins and currency, and thank you for joining me once again today as we dive deep into the incredible history of the Jefferson nickel, with a focus on the 1979 issue, a coin that might seem ordinary to the casual observer but reveals a rich and complex history once you begin to peel back the layers of time design, politics, and economy surrounding it. This is not just a 5-cent piece. This is a window into a pivotal era in American coinage and economic strategy. Now, to truly understand the 1979 Jefferson nickel, we must first explore the origin of the Jefferson nickel series itself, which dates back to the early 20th century. Replacing the Buffalo nickel in 1938, the Jefferson nickel was introduced as part of a broader effort to modernize U.S. coinage at the time and to honor one of the most influential founding fathers, Thomas Jefferson, whose legacy as the principal author of the Declaration of Independence, the third President of the United States, and an early proponent of American liberty, made him a fitting choice for the nation's coinage. The original design of the Jefferson nickel was created by German-American sculptor Felix Schlag, whose work was chosen in a design competition held by the U.S. Mint. Schlag's obverse portrait of Jefferson presented a stark profile, while the reverse showcased Jefferson's famous Virginia estate. Monticello, a building deeply associated with Jefferson's legacy and ideals, the early years of the Jefferson nickel from 1938 to 1942 were struck in standard copper-nickel composition, but World War II changed everything, and from 1942 to 1945, the Mint produced nickels with a silver alloy to conserve nickel for the war effort. These war nickels are notable for their large mint marks above Monticello and represent a fascinating chapter in U.S. history. By the time we reached the 1970s, the Jefferson nickel had become a staple of American coinage, circulating widely and used daily by millions of Americans. But the 1970s were a time of significant change for the U.S. economy. Inflation was on the rise. The costs of coin production were being carefully evaluated, and the Mint was constantly adapting to the increasing demands for coinage in a modernizing society. The 1979 Jefferson nickel sits right in the heart of this period, and understanding the broader context of the late 70s is essential to appreciating the coin's significance. In 1979, the United States Mint operated three primary facilities for coin production: Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. Philadelphia produced circulation nickels without a mint mark. Denver added a D mint mark, and San Francisco primarily produced proof coins for collectors marked with an S. The Philadelphia Mint would not adopt a P mint mark on nickels until 1980, so any 1979 Jefferson nickel with no mint mark is from Philadelphia, while the D and S nickels reflect their respective origins. The Philadelphia strikes in 1979 are common and can be found in high numbers, yet their quality and strike characteristics can vary significantly. Some collectors search for full steps on Monticello, which indicates a sharper and more precise strike, and is a premium condition feature. This detail can command much higher values in the market due to the difficulty of achieving that level of strike clarity, especially on nickels made for general circulation. At the same time, the Denver Mint's production was also substantial, and like Philadelphia full-step varieties from Denver are sought after by collectors and grading services alike. However, the Denver Mint was generally known for slightly stronger strikes during this period, which means more full-step examples can be found compared to their Philadelphia counterparts. Now turning to the San Francisco Mint, the 1979 S. Jefferson nickel-proof strikes are a key focus for many numismatists due to the precision and mirror-like finish of proof coins. There are two varieties of the 1979 S-proof Jefferson nickel known as Type 1 and Type 2. This difference lies in the appearance of the S mint mark. Type 1 has a blobby or filled S, while Type 2 features a clearer, sharper S. This change occurred mid-year as the Mint adjusted its mint mark punch, and collectors prize both varieties, particularly in higher grades or cameo and deep cameo designations. The proof nickels offer a unique look at the craftsmanship of the Mint at the time, and they are often preserved in excellent condition because they were not intended for circulation. Rather, they were packaged and sold to collectors as part of proof sets. The 1979 S-proof nickel remains an accessible and popular choice among those building-type sets, or Jefferson nickel collections. Moving beyond the specific mint details, we must explore the artistic and technical aspects of the 1979 nickel. The design remained largely consistent with Schlag's original concept, though minor modifications had occurred over the decades, particularly in the definition of Jefferson's portrait and the crispness of Monticello's architectural features. Coin dye, polishing die wear, and planche quality all affected the final appearance of these nickels, and collectors often study these elements to assess the desirability of individual specimens. In terms of metal content, the 1979 Jefferson nickel maintained the standard post-war composition of 75% copper and 25% nickel, a formula that balances durability with cost efficiency. The weight of the coin is 5 grams, and the diameter is 21.2 millimeters with a smooth edge. This consistency in specifications has allowed the nickel to remain a foundational element of American coinage despite its modest face value. The economic backdrop of 1979 adds another layer of meaning to these coins. The United States was grappling with high inflation under the Federal Reserve leadership of Paul Volcker, who would later be credited with bringing inflation under control, but not before the late 70s and early 80s, experienced significant financial turbulence. Coins like the 1979 nickel serve as everyday witnesses to this era of economic challenge, as Americans adjusted their habits and budgets to cope with rising costs. Furthermore, in the collecting world, the late 1970s marked a period of growing interest in modern coin varieties and grading services like PCGS and NGC, which would later revolutionize how coins are evaluated. Were just beginning to shape the hobby. The awareness of small differences, such as full steps die, varieties, overstrikes, and mint errors became more widespread during this time, and collectors began to pay closer attention to details that had once been overlooked. The 1979 Jefferson nickel therefore occupies a unique place in both American numismatics and history, not just as a coin minted in large quantities, but as a symbol of a changing nation. A coin that reflects both the continuity of American traditions and the adaptability of its economy and minting institutions. Whether you are a beginner collector, someone sorting through change, or an experienced numismatist pursuing high-grade examples, the 1979 Jefferson nickel offers something valuable, from its historical connections and design legacy to its minting nuances and collectible varieties. So as we examine images of the 1979 nickel under the microscope and compare different mint marks, strike qualities, and proof types, remember that each coin tells a story that began with Jefferson's ideals, continued through wartime metal changes, evolved with economic shifts, and endures today in the collections of those who understand and appreciate its journey. Deep dive into the world of the 1979 Jefferson nickel. And if you're enjoying this kind of in-depth numismatic content, be sure to subscribe, like, and leave a comment about your favorite Jefferson nickel find or memory. Your support helps me bring you more long-form history and education around the coins we see and spend every day, but rarely stop to truly examine, where we explore the fascinating world of old coins and their hidden values. And today we will dive deep into the complete history, the design evolution, and the value of the 1972 Washington quarter coin, one of the most recognized and circulated coins in United States history. This journey will take us through the origins of the Washington quarter, the context in which it was created, its artistic details, its production specifics, its collector interest, and its value in the numismatic world. To understand the story of the 1972 Washington quarter, we must first go back to the year 1932, when the United States was preparing to commemorate the 200th birthday of its first president. George Washington Congress authorized the creation of a new $quarter coin to honor this important historical milestone, replacing the standing Liberty quarter, which had been in circulation since 1916. The idea was to celebrate the enduring legacy of George Washington, and the values he represented: leadership, courage, independence, and integrity. A competition was initially held for the design of this new coin, with multiple artists submitting concepts, but in the end the chosen design came from sculptor John Flanagan, who used a bust of George Washington that was based on a 1785 bust by French sculptor Jean-Antoine Houdon. Flanagan's portrait was placed on the obverse side of the coin. With the word Liberty above Washington's head, the motto, "In God We Trust," to the left, and the date below the bust on the reverse side of the coin, the original design featured a bald eagle with outstretched wings holding arrows and olive branches, symbolizing the United States' readiness for defense, but also its desire for peace. The Washington quarter design remained largely unchanged through the decades, with minor modifications and production details evolving as coinage technology improved, and as the mint sought greater consistency in striking and die design. The 1972 Washington quarter, in particular, belongs to the period of coinage where the U.S. Mint had transitioned from silver to clad compositions in order to keep coin production cost-effective and to respond to the rising market prices of silver. The 1972 Washington quarter was struck in large quantities at three major U.S. mint facilities: Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco, each producing coins with their own distinct characteristics. The Philadelphia mint quarters carry no mint mark. The Denver mint coins are marked with a D, and the San Francisco mint produced proof coins marked with an S. The coins are made from a clad composition, which means they consist of a copper core sandwiched between two layers of copper-nickel alloy, giving them the silvery appearance without containing any actual silver. This change in composition was first introduced in 1965 after the Coinage Act of 1965, which eliminated silver from the dimes and quarters of general circulation and replaced them with this new clad format. The Washington quarters minted before 1965 are therefore of higher intrinsic value due to their silver content, while post-1965 quarters, including those from 1972, are primarily valued for their collectible appeal, rarity, and condition rather than melt value. The 1972 Washington quarter has become a popular coin among collectors for various reasons. Although it was not a year of particularly low mintage, the coin has its appeal because of its age design, historical continuity, and the subtle variations that exist among its many. Examples: numismatists often look for errors, varieties, and high-grade conditions when assessing the value of this coin. Certain coins from 1972 display doubling errors, die, cracks off center strikes, or weak strikes, and these minting mistakes can significantly increase the value of an otherwise common coin. For example, doubled die obverses where the details of Washington's profile, lettering, or date appear slightly doubled due to die misalignment during minting are highly sought after by specialists. Another factor influencing the value of a 1972 Washington quarter is its condition. Coins graded at MS-65 or higher are more desirable due to their pristine surfaces, sharp details, and lack of wear. Collectors often seek coins in mint state, and these uncirculated examples, especially with full strike detail, can sell for premium prices in auctions and collector markets. Proof coins from the San Francisco Mint are also of interest to collectors. These coins were not intended for circulation and were produced using special dies and highly polished planchets to achieve a mirror-like finish the 1972 S-proof. Washington quarters are usually found in proof sets, but individual coins graded in perfect PR70 condition can also command significant prices depending on demand and rarity in the market. Over time, the Washington quarter series has reflected various changes in American coinage and history. The coin has remained a staple of everyday commerce, while also becoming a subject of intense focus among numismatists and history enthusiasts. The 1972 quarter sits in the heart of this historical timeline as a post-silver transitional coin that maintains the classic Washington bust and eagle reverse just before major changes would be introduced to the series beginning in 1975 with the Bicentennial Quarter program, which replaced the eagle design temporarily with a colonial drummer design to celebrate the 200th anniversary of American independence. The Washington Quarter itself has seen many redesigns since then, with the State Quarters program beginning in 1999 and continuing through the Beautiful Quarters, and then into the American Women Quarters program. Each of these design phases reflects different periods in U.S. history, but they all trace their roots back to that original 1932 design, and coins like the 1972 quarter remain a tangible link to this tradition. Collectors who specialize in Washington quarters often focus on building complete sets, including all mint marks, and special varieties from 1932 to the present, and finding high-grade examples from the 1970s, including 1972, can be a challenge because these coins were not widely saved in uncirculated condition by the public. At the time, many of the 1972 quarters that survive today show signs of wear as they remained in circulation for decades, and only a small number have been preserved in pristine condition. Coin grading plays a critical role in determining the value of a 1972 Washington quarter, with grading scales like the Sheldon scale assigning numeric grades from 1 for heavily worn coins up to 70 for perfect uncirculated examples. Coins certified by professional grading services like PCGS or NGC provide collectors with confidence about authenticity, grade, and long-term value, and these certified coins often appear in auctions and trade at higher prices than raw, ungraded examples. For a 2-hour video, we will now explore the details of how these coins are graded, the kinds of visual cues experts use to assess a coin's condition, the differences between circulated and uncirculated quarters, the impact of strike quality and die condition, and how to spot potential errors or varieties that make your 1972 quarter more valuable. We will also look into real auction results, sales data from top coin marketplaces, and interviews with numismatic experts to understand valuable insights, practical tips, and historical appreciation for one of America's most enduring coinage designs. Stay with us as we uncover the story, the art, the rarity, and the hidden treasures behind the 1972 Washington quarter, and join a growing community of collectors who continue to find joy, fascination, and even profit in the world of old coins.